I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you very much, Ben. We appreciate your willingness to do this for us. And no real announcements. I guess July 15th is the tentative date for our annual picnic up at Lookout Mountain. They're going to have some barbecue catered in, not Bennett's Barbecue. I don't remember the company, but I hear it's delicious. So just, keep an eye on your inbox or the website for info on that. But with that, Ben, I will pass it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoy seeing people and talking with them, and it's been a very long time. So the NAB went pretty well. I don't know if you guys were there. I didn't see any of you there. But yeah, it was great to get back with people and get back in touch. So that was fun. Well, let me jump right in. So Innovonics, you guys know the name. There we go. My name is Ben Barber. I'm the president and CEO of the company. Innovonics started in 1972. Jim Wood and his business partner started with the first product they made was a limiter for reel-to-reel tape decks so that you didn't saturate and overdrive the record heads on Ampex reel-to-reels. And that's where we started in 1972. Made a lot of replacement electronics, solid state electronics for Ampex 350s and that sort of thing. Now everybody wants the tube ones back. So they want that warm tube sound instead of the quiet, no noise sound that the solid state ones did. But Innovonics has obviously innovated from there, and we have gone into 3 different main product lines: audio processing, monitoring, and then RDS, encoding and decoding. But I guess I'm getting ahead of myself real quick. I would like to offer any of you guys a swag bag. Just drop me an email, ben@innovonicsbroadcast.com. It's got a couple of cool things in it. This is our 50th birthday party, actually at the NAB show on Monday. We turned 50, so April 25th, 1972 was our birthday. So yeah, and I'll throw that email in the chat too. So ben@innovonicsbroadcast.com, and we'll send you out a swag bag just like you would get if you were at the show, and we could hand one to you. So as I said, Innovonics makes 3 different product lines. Let's see: audio processing, monitoring and receivers, and RDS encoding and decoding. So today we're going to talk about monitoring. And I wish I could tell you that my 2-year-old grandson made these drawings, but he didn't. So we're just going to go with it. So every radio station has a studio. They have a transmitter. They have an antenna, and they have something in between called an STL, a studio transmitter link. That might be a piece of wire. It might be a internet connection, audio over IP. It might be 900 megahertz dishes that somehow you get the audio from the studio to the transmitter site, especially if they're not co-located. Then you can also do things like with translators. And so you've got your local market there with the studio sending out some audio over the transmitter. And then for us we're in Felton, California, which is just south of the Bay Area. There's a big mountain between us and Silicon Valley. And so there's a lot of repeaters up at the top of the mountain. Well, somebody in Santa Cruz, or somebody in the Bay Area has no idea if the transmitter's pointing down the hill into the remote market and working or not. And so there needs to be some way to monitor that. The other way to get your signal around, if it's not just a rebroadcast terrestrial site, maybe you're doing it through satellite. So you're feeding multiple markets, maybe 20, 30, 40, hundreds of markets with your signal, and the remote market 1 and 2 could be hundreds of miles away, and you have no way of knowing if those transmitters are on the air or off the air. So how do you monitor all these remote sites? That's the question that we're going to answer tonight. So you can do it a couple different ways. One way, obviously, is to buy some full site monitoring and control equipment. And this is a Davicom box. It's got lots of inputs, outputs. It can talk SNMP to all of the devices at the transmitter site. So you can check your air conditioning, you can check your transmitter temperature and your forward power and your reverse power and SWR and everything, plus fuel tank levels and everything. So this is this is their smaller unit, but it's a pretty comprehensive unit, and you can put one of those at every site. But the question comes in is, how do you know with 100% accuracy that your transmitter is on the air right now? And the answer to that is, unless you have something to monitor it, you probably don't know. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Brant, and he is a local engineer to me in Santa Cruz. And he's got this little 10-watt transmitter. That's it. Actually, it's got a receiver and a transmitter underneath it. And it's a 10-watt transmitter aimed down into a canyon down the coast. It's about 50 miles from here. And he has absolutely no way of knowing if that translator is on the air or off the air until one of the listeners in that canyon gives him a call and says, "Hey, you've been off the air for 3 days," or, "I hear this hum in one of my speakers," or something like that. And so we thought, you know what, we need to come up with a way that he can monitor that remote market, albeit a small one, with a 10-watt translator, something that he can check in on, or that it can email him or send him messages if there's a problem, and that he can listen to. And our solution was the InnoMini 635. This was our first site streamer product. That's what we named them. They're compact units. They fit in 3 of them in a 19-inch rack shelf. They're very compact. You've got a display on the front, a knob, and a headphone jack. And then on the back, you've got an antenna connector. And oh, I like your cat. That's cool. You've got an antenna connector on the back. You've got 2 audio inputs. We'll come back to that in just a minute. And then you've got a LAN port and a couple of power connectors. And that's what an InnoMini is. In its most basic form, it's a radio connected to the internet that can stream audio and tell you all sorts of information about your transmission. So the first thing you want to do when you get one of these is you plug it into your network and you go in and you set it up with a static IP. It's really important that you do a static IP, because if you don't, you may not be able to find it later if your router hands it a new IP address, and especially if you're behind a firewall or on a public IP at a transmitter site. You want to be able to get through the firewall. So port forwarding is really important. So set it up with a static IP, and also set up your primary DNS numbers. Then the next thing that I always remind people of doing after you've connected to this thing, or any device that we make, or probably any device that anybody makes, is set the time and make sure that it's correct, because inevitably somebody will say, I got an alarm and it said it happened at 3 a.m., but I checked all our logs and there's nothing at 3 a.m. But there is something at midnight. And you go, okay, well, set your time zone up right so that the alarms, when they do timestamp, that they're the correct time. So pretty simple to do. The next thing you would do is tune to your frequency that you want to be monitoring. So in this case, it's 101.5, and save it as a preset right down there. After you do that, you want to go in and set up your email notifications. And this device can send you emails. It can also send emails to phone, so to text messages. Depending upon your carrier, there's different ways of doing that. We've got a list on our website of how to set that up so it can send to Verizon or AT&T or any number of cell phone companies. So you set all those things up. This is how you do it for Gmail. You put in your different recipients there. We've got 4 recipients, and then you hit the save button. After doing that, most important thing, or the next most important thing, is to send a test email and make sure that all the email addresses are right and that the SMTP server is set up correctly. After that, set up some alarms. We've got an audio loss alarm, we've got low signal alarms, we have other alarms too. But the way this works is the audio loss alarm, we turned it on there, and what it does is the threshold is set at -30, and the time on is set to 15 seconds. So the audio loss alarm will trigger if the audio is below -30 for 15 seconds. That seems pretty straightforward. And then we built in hysteresis. And so the audio has to be above -15 for 2 seconds in order to clear the alarm. And especially if you have a lot of speaking or talking programs, it's very hard to get a level of -15 for anything longer than just a couple of seconds, because everybody has vocalized pauses, just like I'm doing when I'm talking. So you want to make sure that the time off is very short so that you can clear that alarm as soon as you get audio back. The next one down is the low signal alarm. You want to set that to on. The RSSI, you can see there is, I hope you can see, is 9. If the RSSI drops below the threshold of 6 for 5 seconds, then your alarm triggers. And if it goes back up to 9 for 5 seconds, then the alarm clears. So that's real handy to have so that you can see if your transmitter starts folding back or dropping power. You're going to get an alarm for that. Even if it stays on the air, you want to know if things are dropping out. The next one, you can set up an RDS alarm. So again, on terrestrial stations, this is really important because maybe the station that you're receiving off air, when it goes off air, maybe your translator will pick up another signal on that frequency, maybe off axis or just behind where your transmitter is. So it's important to monitor your PI code. Your PI code is your 4-digit character, 4-digit hex number that identifies your station as your station and is based on your call letters in the US. And so if your call letters or your PI code is 92, can't even see it there, 929D, then if you go off the air and the site streamer picks up a different PI code or no PI code, it can give you an alarm and say, hey, there's a problem here. I don't want to be rebroadcasting somebody else's station. You can have a pilot loss alarm. You can do a bunch of different alarms. So what happens here then is once you have your alarm set up, you go back to email notifications and you say, okay, recipient number 2, obviously in management, because he's only getting the daily and the weekly log emailed to him. I, on the other hand, am getting audio loss RF and RDS alarms emailed to me and texted to me in the middle of the night. So I must be the guy on call in this case. But I also want a weekly log sent to me, or a daily log sent to me. So you can mix and match. If one person, if you have an RF engineer, you can select them for RF issues. If you have a studio engineer that would be more responsible for the audio part, then you can select them. You can select it so that they get the audio loss alarms. And again, you can have daily, weekly, monthly logs emailed to you and just keep those as a record. So very, very handy thing to have. So how does an email look when you get it? So this is what happens when you get an email. It sends you a header and it says alarm, low signal, 101.5 WXMB. And then it tells you within the text of the email when that alarm happens. So 6:48 p.m. on September 6, 2019 is when the alarm happened. And then when the alarm gets cleared, it sends out an OK, low signal. It got cleared, 101.5. So that's how it looks. It sends you the time of when the alarm triggers and the time when the alarm clears. This is how it looks on your phone. You've got the two alarms right there. So if you get it in a text message, you would see this where your Mini 635 experienced a low signal alarm at 6:48 p.m. And then when the alarm clears, you would get another text that tells you what time the alarm cleared. Also then, daily logs. This is what a daily log would look like. You would get a CSV file emailed to you, and you can open that, of course, in Excel, and it shows you the RF loss and the time and the RF back on, and you can do a quick calculation there and figure out how long you were off the air and how often you were off the air, I think more importantly, but also how long. That's good to know. So here's the, again, you put the receiver out at the transmitter site, at a remote transmitter site, and then you go ahead and set things up. And I said I'd come back to the analog input. So we have analog inputs, and the reason is so that you can connect them between whatever's receiving the audio and your transmitter. So in this case, it would be a terrestrial receiver, but it might be a satellite receiver. It might be a IP connection that's feeding that transmitter site. And so what you can do is if you get an alarm and say, hey, there's no audio out there, you can connect to the 635, the site streamer, and you can listen to the audio, the auxiliary input. And what that does is it tells you, okay, am I getting audio to that site? Or, and if you are, then, okay, there must be something in my air chain. This is very simplified, but, you know, it might be a processor out there, might be something going on within the transmitter, but you are getting audio to the site. The other way of looking at it is if you get no audio on the receiver, you go, oh, okay, I'm not getting audio to the site, so maybe everything's okay at the site. Maybe it's breaking down somewhere else in the chain. So on all of our site streamers, there's a little button up here with a speaker, and you can click on that speaker and you can listen to the audio remotely from wherever you are. Very important. There's different stream rates. The fastest one is 128 kilobits MP3, and you know it's not going to win any awards for high fidelity necessarily, but you're definitely going to be able to hear if you're on the air and if something's not right. So when you do click on it, you've got the option of listening to the FM radio or the auxiliary input. And so if you click on aux input, then that's the spot you're going to be listening to right there. So how does this work? So let's actually connect to one of these units. And I think I need to move that over to my screen. Can you guys see that? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay. All right. So this is a unit that's in our office, and it's on the air right now, picking up a local radio station. And so we can see that what the PS is, the radio text, they're playing Journey, and it looks like there's no errors right now on the radio being received. And then we can come up here and click on the little speaker. In my city. Oh. Could you guys hear that? Thumbs up? Okay. All right. So on any web-enabled device, whether it's a phone or a PC or a tablet, you can log into your remote station and listen to it. So some people say, well, I've only got one transmitter, and I live 5 miles from it. I can always hear it. And that's great. And that's wonderful. But if you ever drive further than 5 miles away, or ever go visit somebody or go on vacation, maybe if you're on vacation, you don't want to know if something's not going right. But you can then you are remote from your station, and you can monitor that way. Different networks will actually put these things out at each transmitter site and then go back to feed back to a NOC and be able to monitor everything that's going on at each site and put it up on a map or put a link in so that they can listen to the audio. That's another thing. You don't actually have to go into the web web interface to listen to the audio on the site streamers. You can put a link in, or you could put a skimmer, have a skimmer sitting there and recording 24/7 your audio remotely if you wanted to do that. So it's pretty versatile in how it works. So the question then comes, well, I want some more features. I want to maybe do HD or AM HD. We don't have an AM HD yet, so I'll let you know that when that happens. But these are what we call Site Streamer Pluses. And the Site Streamer Plus has audio outputs because people have asked for those. They have GPO connections, so you can actually do, turn the transmitter off if things aren't working right. You can do it remotely. It also has an audio over IP connection, so you can plug this into a WheatNet or a LiveWire, an Axia system. There you go. Okay, and then get the audio anywhere in your plant. So that's helpful. It's a Dante output, but Dante speaks AES 67, and you can set those up. And we've got white papers on how to do it. It looks like, Chris, you've done that before.
We haven't, but we're getting more and more AOIP at our transmitter sites, and I can see how that would be a great feature to let us tap in and listen at, like you said, a strategic point.
Right, and if it's audio over IP, you can also do anybody on your network can just call up that transmitter site and listen to the audio instantly. So yeah, without even going through a web interface or anything. So good. We do have HD ones. This is the remote station monitoring for HD. If we click on that now playing link, we can go over here. This is a Site Streamer Plus, so it has more features. You can look at the FM. You can also look at the HD. You can get images. Whatever image there is circled in gold color is the actual image that's being displayed right now. So that gives you an idea. If you mouse over it, you can also see the time the image was received, how many times it's repeated. Because with HD, what you do is you actually preload the image before the song starts playing, and then once the song starts playing or the event, then you trigger the image at that point. So that's how that works. And the Site Streamer Pluses have a lot more horsepower in them. They can do a lot more things. They can supply audio to more than one person at a time for monitoring. So they can do a lot of different things. So for site streamers, we do AM, FM, HD, both in the Mini size and in the Site Streamer Plus size. So depending upon which type of unit you want, we do them in all different flavors. So the point that I want to make is that you need to have something if you want to know. So if you don't care, you just you want to walk away and not know, then okay, there you go. But if you do want to know, and I think most people are conscientious enough that they want to know that they are on the air, and if there's a problem, they want to know it right away, not a couple hours later. So if you need to have something if you want to know. So here's the little AM and then the HD versions and the Mini series, and then I'm sorry about that. Okay, and then the FM and the AM versions for the larger site streamer version. So that's what a site streamer is in a nutshell. It's just a compact radio. You could do it a whole different way if you wanted to. You could put a tuner at a remote site. You could hook up a barracks box or something like that to it, or if you've got some other way to receive the audio out of it and get it back to whatever source you need it, you can do that. It's more cumbersome, it's more pieces, it's more bits, and it doesn't have a cool web interface. So if you're on your phone and you need to know what's going on, you can do that instantly. So that's what site streamer is. Yes. You're muted,
what
George.
width are those boxes?
Pardon?
what width are those boxes?
The large
So
ones,
half a shelf space?
yeah, the large ones are half a rack, and we have a rack mount kit that can hold 2 of those, and then the small ones are 1/3, and you can put 3 of those together in a 19-inch rack.
Is that the same rack mounting shelf for that'll take 3 and also do 2 separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can put 1/2 rack and 1/3 rack if you want to mix and match, and there's blanking panels that come with it. So yeah, it all looks nice and beautiful in your rack.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the what's the 568?
The 568 is the HD Sight Streamer Plus. So it's a Sophia, what we call the Sophia Sight Streamer Plus, and it does much more than the Inomini 638 would be the small, the younger brother.
Okay, I put one of those in Rockford, Illinois. We programmed that out of Chicago, and that's like 90 miles away. It's a co-channel with one of our Chicago stations, so obviously we can't hear it in Chicago, but it's been great. But it lets them keep an eye on the HD as well. And we do have multicast out there, and you know, we have no way of knowing if that was off, and they do artist experience and so forth there as well.
Great with the Sophias, and also even with the Inomini. So if you have multiple stations in the same market and you want to monitor them, we have a feature called station rotation. And so station rotation will actually cycle through multiple frequencies, and in an HD case you could have station rotation on your HD, on your FM, your HD1, your HD2, HD3, and it will rotate through those, and it will monitor things like artist experience on all of those. It'll monitor RDS on it. It will, the only thing that it kind of shares is that it only has one audio decoder, so you can only check the audio every 30 seconds or however fast you're rotating through there. So you could miss something with an audio loss, but if you drop audio for 30 seconds, it's not the greatest thing, but it's probably not the worst thing either. If you drop audio for 5 minutes, that's a terrible thing. So it can station rotate through those.
I do that, Ben, with our HD Sight Streamer, and I've had lots of silent sensors over the years, and you're just asking for a nuisance if you're trying to get an alarm for 5 seconds of dead air.
Right.
Generally, I set them at about 45 seconds.
Yeah, that should tell you if you missed a spot or something like that, an important spot, definitely. Yeah.
Ben, what's the RF input on these? Is it a low level, high level, switchable?
On these, it's all low level input. If you put it in a rack next to a transmitter, you can use a paper clip for an antenna. So we don't include one, but you should carry one.
No paper clip included.
You should put that in your bag that you send out.
There you go. Yeah. You know what? I'll send you a swag bag with a paper clip in it. That would be good. Yeah. So yeah, they're antenna inputs, because who knows what your transmitter's putting out. It could be a really low, like that 10 watt, or it could be full power. So yeah, I've had people pat them down and everything, and that works fine too.
Ben, I've got a few 525Ns, and they have a lot of similar features. Mm-hmm. To they allow you to stream the audio and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know if those, obviously they don't do HD, mm-hmm. but what else do they have in common with the Sight Streamer? Or if you have a 525N, you don't need a Sight Streamer.
That's correct. Yeah, the Sight Streamers don't show modulation. They're not going to warn you if you're over modulating or anything like that. so if you have the idea behind the site streamer was that you would spend $1,000 and put one at a remote site, where like your AM mod monitor, the 525N is, $4,000, something like that. So you might not put it, especially at a low power translator site. So if you've got the mod monitor and it's working perfect for you, you don't need the site stream. It would just be duplicating a lot of the things. Because yeah, the 525 can send you texts, emails, do the silent sensing. It can't do, does the 525 station rotation? I have to think about that. I don't think it does. Yeah.
Well, I like the 525N a lot. It's really worked out well for us. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to leave the stream that it creates up all the time for a particular function?
No, you could definitely monitor that 24/7, and people do, especially with in the 525 and the site streamers, the Inno Minis. Only one person can listen to the stream at a time. So if you have a recording device, just monitoring that, skimming it 24/7, if somebody clicks on the speaker, then it's going to knock your recording off. On the Sophias, you can get 10, you can supply up to 10 audio streams at a time. So it's much better in that case, where you could have a skimmer just, recording it 24/7, and then people could still switch into it and monitor it, that sort of thing. So I've seen people take the site streamers and put a large screen TV in a hallway, something like that, and then run multiple browsers in it. And so you can just, as you walk by, you look up at it, and you can see, oh yeah, my audio meters are all bouncing, and that's all working. So that, in that case, they're monitoring it 24/7 and getting feedback.
Outside of a web browser, what other kind of device could you use to pick up that stream? Could you use like a barracks?
Yeah, definitely. It's the IP address of the unit. So if you're port forwarding, then it's the IP address of the building. If you're on the same LAN, it's the IP address of the unit slash mp3_128.mp3, and that's the address. And you don't even have to get into the web browser or anything. You just you type that into a browser or into a recorder or some other device, and boom, you're just instantly going to get audio.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Actually, it's the audio, being able to listen to the audio is also outside of the security of the unit. I mean, there's a password and everything that you can put on the unit, which is a great idea if you don't want somebody getting into it and changing it around. But the audio is outside of that password. So you could put an icon on somebody's desktop and they could click on that, and they wouldn't be able to change anything or look at anything, but they would be able to listen to audio, which is, again, a good thing for stations that have, some sites somebody can call up and say, hey, you're off in, this city or that city, and somebody can click on a desktop icon and go, well, I can hear audio, so I think we're on.
Yeah, for use in a knock.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have a knock then, a central knock, or is everybody autonomous?
Yeah, they're pretty well. We have some, I guess I'd call them regional knocks. Like Chicago, where we've got a whole bunch of signals, and it's not really a formal knock, but they do monitor a lot of signals there. So it kind of works that way.
Right.
We're just really pleased with the products that you've come out with, Ben. In fact, I gave you guys, I don't know if you saw it or not, but in the latest Radio World Engineering Extra, I gave a tip of the hat to Innovonics as one of the great innovators of niche products, and we so much
did see
appreciate
that.
that. Yeah,
I did see that. Thank you. Yeah. You know, we have a saying in the office. It's innovate or die. Yeah. But when we outwardly face to the industry, we put a big smile on our face and we say always innovating. So yeah.
well, you do a great job with that, and we so much appreciate these great products, and I can speak for our company that we'll keep buying them as you keep putting them out. We love them.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I will tell you, yeah, we are looking at doing an HDAM. So I don't know that we'd have it before NAB next year, but it's on the list. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I really appreciate the way the units are laid out and the web interfaces that they have. You go in to do something with one of these and they're easy to understand. There's features galore. You know, I'm always finding new stuff that I can do with them. And, you know, it's just really incredible that somebody has sat down. I guess you guys probably all sit down at a round table somewhere and hammer out all the details. And it always seems like it's exactly parallel to exactly what I would have created if given the opportunity. So tip of the hat.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I there you go. All right. I told you I started out with Innovonics 34 years ago. Yeah. Okay. In 1988. And I started out as a bench tech. And I had worked at a radio station in Alaska for a couple of years, and I'd always liked electronics, and I'd built things and, you know, made distribution amps and made a box that you could record the news at the top of the hour and then play it back later if you wanted to and stuff. But I started out at Innovonics as a bench tech and then got into doing more and more design and things like that. And I'll tell you, Mike, at the level of the products that we're putting out now, it is so far beyond me. And so instead of being a smart guy, I hire really smart engineers. So they are very good. We do all of our own design and everything in-house. We do all of our manufacturing in-house, and it just gives us a better control over the product that we put out. So it pays off in the long run. But yeah, I say that with all honesty. I'm no longer smart. I just hire smart people.
I do the same thing here, and I hire smart engineers, and there's two of them right here on this call. So there you go.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much there, Ben. I appreciate it. Really do. And we hope to have you back again, and we'll just look forward to whatever else you guys are going to come out with. Come a long way from those AG350 electronic swap outs.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, if we didn't innovate, we would be long gone. We would be long gone. So we really appreciate you guys. We appreciate your feedback on new products and everything. And that's really where going to shows like the NAB and everything, we get to talk to people and get feedback. And it's great. So I love doing it. And hopefully we'll be doing more of it.
Was there a lot of traffic at the NAB this year?
You know, that's interesting. The way I'll tell you a quick story. The CES had normally has 170,000, and they had 40,000, and they had tighter restrictions on who could come and not. The NAB normally has 110,000. Well, normally, last time we had it, or a couple of years ago when we had it, and so I figured if we got 40,000, that would be great. It turned out we had 52,000 show up for the NAB, so about half. And I would say that everybody that was there wanted to be there. I mean, there was just the vibe was, you know, people wanted to be there. They wanted to get out. They wanted to see new products. They wanted to see friends and talk to friends that they hadn't seen in so long. And I mean, engineers, we usually get the rap of, well, you're kind of recluse people, and don't play nicely with others, or we're socially awkward or something like that. And that was just so not true at this year's NAB. I mean, everybody that was there wanted
See,
to
we've
be there.
evolved.
What's that?
We've evolved.
Yeah. Well, 2 years of isolation has brought out the I actually want to be with other people. So this is a good thing. So yeah, it was a good show. We showed off a couple of new products. I mentioned the 551, 552, the HD mod monitors, and so it was very good, and it was great to see people come by and everything. So yeah, and Eric says best swag at the NAB. So if you want another one, drop me an email with your address, and I'll get it in the mail to you.
Those new mod monitors, I'm looking forward to seeing a presentation on those.
Great. So you guys have a bunch of AM HDs, FM HDs also then?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you're using the 568. What are you using right now then to monitor them and to time align and measurements and things like that?
I've got 2 wheels and a stick.
We have some golden eagles here and there. We have some day sequoias that if you turn them upside down and shake them and then power cycle them 3 times, they might come on and work long enough for you to get a time alignment or something. I think a lot of times we do it by the old push the button on the radio and listen for the skip.
Oh, right.
I use the split mode on the site streamer.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Well, I won't turn this into a 551, 552, but those boxes, the difference of them is the 551 is a 3U box, and it's got a nice big good touch screen on the front. It's got LED bars on the front showing all the audio, all 5 channels of audio, because it can do FM and 4 HDs simultaneously. And then it has full-time audio outs on the back, again, for all 5 audio sources. That's a 551. It's got all the eye candy. The 552 is a 1U box, and it has a very diminutive display on it. And I shouldn't even use that word when referring to one of our products, but it's really tiny, and probably should have, gotten the little Fresnel lens that you get, it looks like a credit card. But the idea originally was just to put the IP address on the front panel. So when you plug it in, you can find it on your network. But then we got some feedback, and people said, well, we want some metering. So it's really tiny, but the 552 is meant to go at a remote site where you're not looking at it every day, and you pull in there once or twice a year, look at it, make sure everything's good. But both of the web interfaces are identical, so you can see the mask, you can see where your HD transmission is under the mask. If you're at -20 or 14 or 10, you can look at composite, again, the FFT of that. You can look at audio levels, all the metadata, the timing, and it also gives accurate FM monitoring, total modulation in the presence of HD, which if you have 531s, that doesn't work so well. So it gives you an accurate FM monitoring level of your FM signal in the HD, in the presence of HD. So that's the really quick demo, but yeah, they're amazing boxes, and they do everything SNMP, so you can remotely monitor them. You can remotely stream all 5 streams at a time, and you can it also has an audio over IP jack, and you can get all 5 streams simultaneously out of either one of them. So
I should point out that I think a lot of the FMs, I'll let Chris speak to this, but I know I have a Justin. So that keeps our time alignment perfect. and gives us all kinds of alarms and stuff. And it's absolutely wonderful. I can't imagine. I remember all the years before I had those, wanting something that did just that. But the thing that interests me so much in the new mod monitor is being able to dig in and see some of the real specific data that you can't get any other way. Knowing and of course we also have the displays, the big screen displays that show up on our transmitters, but you can't see any of that remotely or you can see it, but you can't necessarily get all the data you'd get out of a mod monitor. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy one for Mike for in next year's budget for sure. So there you go, Mike.
Great. I'll write at least 1 month about it.
Here you go. Okay.
All right, Amanda, and you are recording this, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Well, I've got to wrap up. I'm up against a time clock here. But thank you guys so much for buying our gear. Thanks for having us be able to present something to you. We really enjoy that. We thank you. I just say that. And Amanda, I always like talking with you on your phone. So
yeah,
when you call. All right.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. We appreciate it, and we'll won't keep you on here, so feel free to leave the meeting if you need to. But we appreciate it.
All right. I do need to go, and don't forget, email me if you want a swag bag. So, all right. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. All right.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And I already emailed him, so there you go.
I know, I'll email him tomorrow.
I already asked him for one for you too. So
Okay, then. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. This was a nice turnout. Very good info, I think. And I have some things I want to mess with on my own mod monitors, even though they're not what he was talking about. The looks like the interfaces are very similar, so it'll be good. But so let's see, July 15th, SBE picnic, SBE SMPTE picnic up at Lookout Mountain. I don't know. I think next month is going to be a SMPTE based meeting. But just I'll post it on the website or send an email out early next month. So just keep an eye out on that. And that's see SMPTE SBE48.org. And that's where I post all the info that you guys need. But thank you very much for coming tonight.